Imagine a forest where as night falls, the silence itself begins to scream, where death hides behind every bush. The forest of Kaptai, where a tiger didn't just hunt, it searched for humans, stalked them, and then made them disappear. People say there wasn't just hunger in its eyes, there was revenge burning inside. And when I stepped into that forest alone, I had no idea that I wasn't the hunter, but its next prey. Kaptai, a place that looks calm and breathtaking on the surface. Lush green hills, dense forest, and the winding Karnafuli River. But that day, something else was hidden behind that beauty. A secret soaked in blood and fear. I had come here with a few friends for a trip. We stayed at a government rest house built on a high hill. From there, the entire area was visible. The vast forest stretched endlessly, swaying with the wind. But strangely, there was no peace in that motion, only unease. As night fell, everything changed. The birds went silent, and an eerie stillness took over the jungle. It felt as if every living creature was afraid of something unseen. I stood in the balcony, staring into the darkness, and I felt like something was watching me. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just a trip. It was the beginning of a story that might end in death. During the day, Kaptai looked like paradise. Lush green hills, dense trees, and the flowing waves of the Karnafuli River twisted like a serpent. From the height of the rest house, with distant city lights shimmering, the entire view felt breathtaking. But as soon as the sun set, everything changed. With the fading light, a strange rustling and silence spread through the forest. Every tree, every bush felt alive, as if something hidden within them only revealed itself at night. I was alone, driving my jeep along the edge of the forest. My friends had already returned, but I pushed forward, chasing my passion. With every step, a subtle wave of fear ran through my body. Sometimes, birds would suddenly burst into flight in the distance. Sometimes, the faint rustle of leaves on the ground would echo in the stillness. It felt as if the forest itself was challenging me. Come, but you may never return. A little further ahead, I noticed something unusual. Dark stains on the ground and small scattered marks leading into the forest. Between the dirt and fallen leaves, there were faint footprints. Or were they? My heartbeat quickened, pounding louder with each passing second. The night air turned colder, heavier, and the silence grew unnatural. It felt as though the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting to see whether I would move forward or turn back. I knew the danger was getting closer with every moment, yet my passion, my determination pushed me onward. This beauty was only a veil. Behind it lay a darkness, one that was ready to tell the story of a beast that brought death to humans. As soon as my friends left, I was completely alone. For the first time, I realized how deep and terrifying the silence of the forest could be. Every bush, every tree, every shadow felt alive, as if they were all watching me. At times, I had the eerie sensation that something was staring at me from behind, but whenever I turned around, there was nothing there. The headlights of my Jeep stretched long, distorted shadows across the ground. With every step, the rustling of dry leaves seemed to echo in sync with my breathing. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just loneliness. It felt as if I had walked straight into a trap. In the darkness of the night, faint sliding sounds would occasionally emerge from between the trees. Birds would suddenly fall silent, and even the wind seemed to freeze. Every living creature in the forest appeared tense, as if they too sensed that danger was near. Inside me, fear and curiosity raced side by side. I knew there was something hidden in this forest, something that wanted to reveal itself to me. And I, without fully understanding what that danger was, kept moving forward, slowly, deeper into the unknown. As I moved deeper into the forest, I began to notice dark stains on the ground. Blood. Small marks, possibly human footprints, or perhaps the tracks of a large predator. My heartbeat quickened, and almost instinctively, my hands moved toward my rifle. With every step, the bloodstains became clearer. Faint rustling sounds started echoing from between the trees. At times, it felt like something was shifting over the fallen leaves, but whenever I looked closely, there was nothing there. Every branch, every shadow, every movement in the forest seemed to warn me that this place was far from safe. The cool night air carried not just a chill, but an unexplainable fear. It felt as though the forest had been waiting for my arrival. Every sound, every subtle motion whispered the same thing. Something was close, something that only hunted in the dark. These bloodstains were just the first signs. I now knew for certain that a predator was out there, and it wasn't afraid of humans, it was drawn to them. My solitude, my courage, everything had now turned into a test. From this point on, my story truly began to move toward real danger. With every step deeper into the forest, the fear kept growing. The rustling of leaves, distant cracking sounds, and the cold breeze moving through the trees all told me one thing: I was not alone. Every bush, every tree, every shadow seemed alive, watching me closely. A short distance ahead, I found human footprints mixed with bloodstains on the ground. It was clear that someone or something had passed through here not long ago. My heartbeat grew so loud it echoed in my ears. Instinctively, my hands tightened around my rifle, ready for anything. Then, in the silence of the night, a strange rustling sound caught my attention. It felt as if a large animal was moving behind me, watching, waiting. The birds suddenly went quiet, and even the wind seemed to stop. Every living creature in the forest appeared frozen, as if holding its breath, sensing what was about to happen. This was the first undeniable sign. There was a man-eating tiger somewhere in the forests of Kaptai, and I, completely alone, was walking straight into its hunt. This moment was not just terrifying, it was a fragile line between life and death. In the deep silence of the forest, a sudden movement caught my attention. Something shifted between the trees, and my heartbeat nearly stopped. It stepped out of the shadows. It was the tiger, the man-eater the villagers spoke of in fear. Its body was massive, muscles tense beneath its skin, and its eyes burned with a hunger that looked almost like blood. The tiger glanced toward me, and the moment our eyes met, a strange mix of fear and curiosity surged within me. This wasn't just the fear of losing my life, it was the fear of realizing how easily I could become its prey. Every step it took seemed to shake the ground beneath it, and every movement carried a silent threat. I tightened my grip on the rifle, trying to steady my racing heart. Yet with every passing second, it felt as though the tiger was only a few steps away from me. It was just a glimpse, but it was enough. A chilling wave ran through my entire body. That single moment made one thing clear. This was no longer just a hunt. It had become a battle between life and death. The tiger stood right in front of me, and every movement it made carried a clear threat. Its massive paws pressed heavily into the ground, its muscles coiled and ready to strike at any second. There wasn't just hunger in its eyes, there was something darker, a sense of rage and raw brutality. brutality. Its presence alone seemed to silence the entire forest. I raised my rifle toward it, my heart pounding violently in my chest. But the tiger's movements were so swift and unpredictable that pulling the trigger felt almost impossible. It moved closer, step by step, the ground trembling beneath its weight. Even the sound of its breathing felt loud enough to echo through every branch of the jungle. The young Chakma men with me stood frozen, fear clearly written across their faces. The tiger's presence had planted a deep, shaking terror in all of us. I knew that even the slightest mistake could cost us our lives. In that moment, I realized this tiger was not just a predator. It was a living engine of destruction, perfectly built for killing. And now, our lives depended entirely on its next move and its hunger. The tiger suddenly lunged forward, its pounding paws striking the ground as it closed the distance between us. Every movement radiated power and deadly focus. I aimed the rifle at it, but its speed and unpredictability made it nearly impossible to take a shot. My heart was racing so loudly it felt like the entire forest could hear it. The Chakma youths stood ready with their spears and shields, but fear was clearly visible on their faces. The tiger's threatening presence and burning hunger gave us no moment of peace. At any second, it could leap and tear through us. I took a deep breath and signaled the young men to climb the nearby trees and position themselves at a safer distance, preparing to confront the tiger together. The tiger slammed its paws into the ground and circled slowly, its gaze fixed on us, as if calculating our every move. The tension in that moment was unbearable. Fear hung thick in the air. The tiger's strength, hunger, and merciless nature turned every shadow in the forest into something terrifying. Our survival now depended on a single thing: our courage and our ability to outthink the beast in this deadly moment.
The moment the tiger leapt forward, the ground seemed to tremble, and a cloud of dust rose into the air. Its power and speed were astonishing. The Chakma youths stood ready with their spears and shields, but their heavy breathing and trembling hands revealed their fear. The tiger's hunger and strength had placed our lives in constant danger. I raised my rifle, trying to steady my aim, but the tiger's movements were so fast and unpredictable that taking a clear shot felt nearly impossible. Its roar echoed through the forest, spreading terror so intense that even the birds and small animals rushed to hide. As the tiger drew closer, the Chakma youths hesitated, fear gripping them, but I signaled for them to distract it with their spears so I could take a shot from a safer distance. The tiger continued to assert its dominance, pounding the ground and shaking everything around it with its sheer force. This was no longer just a confrontation. It was the beginning of a fight between life and death. Every leap, every roar, every movement of the tiger reminded us of one thing. This forest was not only beautiful, but deadly. And we were not the hunters anymore. We were being tested. The tiger moved closer, its pounding paws shaking the ground beneath us. In its eyes burned not just hunger, but a fierce, vengeful intensity. Every muscle in its body was primed for battle. The Chakma youths stood with their shields and spears, but their trembling hands and pale faces revealed the fear they were trying to hide. I raised my rifle, my heart hammering in my chest. The tiger's movements were so fast and unpredictable that taking a clean shot was far from easy. At any moment, it could leap and bring us all down. With a deep, threatening roar, it stepped forward again, its presence making the very earth seem to tremble. The Chakma youths showed remarkable courage, attempting to distract the tiger with their spears as it prepared to strike. For a brief moment, the tiger paused, staring at us with a chilling focus. Then, with explosive force, it launched itself forward for a final attack. This was the Nernank moment. Against the tiger's strength, hunger, and merciless nature, we had nothing but our courage and strategy to rely on. In that instant, the silence of the forest and the overwhelming fear made one thing clear. Our lives hung by a thread.
With the help of the Chakma youth's spears and my precise shot, the tiger fell to the ground with one final thunderous roar. For a few moments, the forest was completely silent. The terrifying presence of the tiger was now lifeless, yet its power and savagery seemed to linger in every branch and leaf around us. I drew deep, heavy breaths, feeling the exhaustion in my body. My heartbeat slowly began to settle, though the fear still coursed through my veins. The Chakma youths, who had been trembling moments ago, now approached the tiger with relief and triumph, cheering at their bravery. As I moved closer to the tiger's body, I realized that this great man-eater had been driven by hunger, and behind its ferocity lay a protective instinct like that of a mother guarding her cubs. The small tiger cubs were nearby, hidden safely under the cover of the forest, shielded by their father. It was a moment of both calm and lingering fear. The forest's silence was now filled only with the gentle sounds of nature, and we all carried in our hearts the memory of those terrifying moments that had passed between life and death. The jungle had shown its true face, both beautiful and deadly, but for now we survived, wiser and humbled. After the tiger's death, I turned my gaze toward the cubs. The small tiger cubs were huddled near their father's lifeless body, restless and hungry. Their tiny eyes were wide with fear and wonder, trying to comprehend the powerful presence of the parent they had relied on. As I stepped closer, I noticed human bones and traces of blood scattered on the ground. The scene was horrifying, sending shivers down the spine. Yet it also carried a lesson. Every creature in the forest moves to survive and to protect its young. In that moment, between human fear and the tiger's hunger, it became clear that the struggle for life and survival is constant in nature. The Chakma youths joined me, cautiously approaching the cubs. Their expressions were a mix of relief and awe. Everyone understood that had the tiger survived, it would have remained a deadly threat to the area. This sight reminded us not only of the tiger's raw power, but also of its instincts and the harsh, unforgiving rules of life and death in the forest. At that moment, respect and fear coexisted in all our hearts, a powerful reminder that nature's balance is both beautiful and merciless. After the tiger's death and observing the cubs nearby, a strange calm settled over the forest. The scent of blood still lingered in the air, but the immediate danger of the tiger's attacks was gone. The Chakma youths and I tried to steady our breathing, and the mixture of exhaustion and awe was clearly visible in everyone's eyes. I looked around the forest. Every branch, every leaf, every faint rustle reminded us that this jungle was not only beautiful, but also extremely dangerous. Nature's lesson was clear. Every creature is constantly prepared to survive and protect its own kind. The tiger's ferocity, its strength, and the fear it inspired in humans proved that in this forest, the line between life and death can be just a matter of moments. The Chakma youths, who had once been terrified, now carried out their tasks with calm and pride. We ensured the tiger cubs were safely left in a secure spot and began preparing to leave the forest. That day, those moments, and the terrifying confrontation would remain etched in our memories forever. A powerful reminder that in the wild, every life is both strong and awe-inspiring, and every encounter carries a lesson about survival, courage, and respect for nature's harsh realities. After confronting the tiger, we made our way back to the village.
Following the forest's silence and terrifying atmosphere, the village felt like a breath of new life. People greeted us with joy and astonishment as the Chakma youths began recounting the story of their fierce encounter with the ManEater. Women, children, and elders gathered, their faces reflecting a mix of fear and relief. The young warriors who had faced the tiger now spoke with pride about their bravery. Their courage inspired a renewed sense of hope and confidence in the hearts of the villagers. I also ensured that the tiger cubs were safely placed in a secure spot within the village so they could grow and survive. The dangers of the forest and the tiger's immense power had taught us a clear lesson. Every creature's instinct, strength, and drive to survive are incredibly formidable in nature. That day, the village celebrated courage and survival, yet the memory of those terrifying moments and the tiger's ferocity remained etched in everyone's hearts. It was not only a day to honor bravery, but also a living reminder of nature's raw power and the ongoing struggle between humans and predators. A vivid lesson of respect, caution, and the delicate balance between life and death in the wild.
This event was not just a tale of a dangerous hunt. It was a lesson in the harsh realities of nature. Every creature in the wild is ruthless and strong when it comes to survival. The tiger's power, instincts, and its drive to protect its cubs reminded us that in the forest, humans are merely guests. Danger is ever present, and a single moment can decide the line between life and death. The bravery and cooperation of the Chakma youths made this perilous hunt possible. Their courage and understanding kept us safe from the tiger's attacks and restored a sense of security in the village. This moment also taught us that even in the face of fear, wisdom, strategy, and teamwork are what protect humans from life-threatening situations. I ensured the tiger cubs were safely relocated, and together with the villagers we shared this lesson. Respecting powerful creatures in nature is essential. The quiet of the forest, the tiger's ferocity, and human courage combined to leave a lasting impression, a memory that will stay with us forever. This story reminds us that every moment between life and death is a test. According to nature's laws, survival depends on intelligence, bravery, and respect. Only by following these can humans navigate the wild safely and honor the balance of life.